Hi all. Today we'll learn something about how browser cache works. For the first time, when the user visits a website, he will send some URL request and he will receive a response of HTML, images, script files, and CSS files. So for the first time, he will get everything from the server, and it takes bit load time would be bit higher. For the subsequent calls, if you understand, for the subsequent calls visits to the same web page, the response would be very fast enough. The web page, the browser will load that web page very fast enough. This is because the browser will retrieve the static files like images, script files, and CSS from the browser cache, not from the web server. So this is what the browser cache. Cache is nothing but a temporary storage in the browser. Browser instead asking for every file from the web server, it will load few static assets from the cache, which makes the page load faster. How the browser knows exactly what to catch? So there are some properties from the response header. For every request and every response, there would be some response headers. So these response headers properties would decide which file should be cached. In what way? There are different properties where browser can understand these properties and it will act according to these properties functionality. So for example, we'll start with e tag. What is this e tag? E tag is nothing but an entity tag, which is a cache validation token. This e tag is a string where if we request a file, the response would be the response web server would send a string of e tag, which would consist of an hash value in that e tag. Now, for the subsequent calls, the browser will ask the web server, is the hashtag same? If the hashtag is the same, then the browser would respond with 304 not modified status code. 304 is the status code which tells us not modified. It means the hash value, the e tag value which is present in the browser and the website web server is same. So if it responds with the 304, the browser will pick that file from the cache, browser cache. If the if that expires e tag, then web server will say it is not equal. So in that case, it will pick the new image or new file content from the server, not from the cache. So this is about e tag. So let's look into cache control. There are multiple directives or options we have for cache control. The one would be public. It means what all the file we get from the web page, we can save it anywhere in the browser or in the CDN, etc. Whereas if it is private, it means we are not allowing to store our assets or file content other than the web browser. So it is private to only to the browser. So we can store that in the browser. That's about the second option, private. Coming to the third option, no store. It means we are not asking the browser to store this particular asset value or image or file content. So the fourth value is no cache. It means at any point of time, don't use the cache, just re-evaluate with the e tag and then use the cache. So that is the main usage of this cache control, no cache. The term would be misleading, no cache, but the exact meaning is don't use the cache directly, just check whether the e tag is valid. If it is valid, then use the cache. So that was the option of the fourth one. So coming to the fifth one, cache control, max age. It is mentioned in seconds, like 60 seconds. It would be 1 minute. So we are saying that this file content will store in the cache for 1 minute, not more than 1 minute. So we can decide or use this in terms of in seconds. We can mention how many seconds the file should be persist in the browser cache. So the last one would be must reevaluate. So whenever we are trying to use the file, we need to check whether it was newly created or anything was modified, lost modified from the web server. So these are the all the options we have for the cache control. So we'll see this with an example in the browser. I will be taking one e-commerce Flipkart website and I will try to show few of the options we have here. So the third one would be the expiry headers. So it would be looking in this format. So it will say exactly when the file content would be expired. So if this would be ignored if we are using cache control max age. The earlier we have used the fifth option max age. If the response header consists of max age, then this expire header would be ignored. Coming to the fourth option, lost modified header. It will contain the date of the date and time when the resource was modified at the web server side. So this is less accurate when compared to the e tag. We can use this as a fallback whenever the lost modified was newly updated. Whenever we update our code in the server, the lost modified would be modified. So the lost modified in our cache would not match with the latest lost modified with the web server. Then our browser will pick the latest file content from the web server. So this is how a sample HTTP response header. If you observe the second line cache control, the max age is 3600 seconds. And the e tag would be in this format. It is a string. It would be like an hash value. Also, we have expiry, which tells this particular file expires at this point. As we have max age here, this expiry would be ignored as we discussed. Also, we have an option of lost modified. So we also give the server details here. So this is an sample HTTP response. And let's look this in action, like how. I'm using an e-commerce website, Flipkart. If you observe, what file is cached or file we are getting from cache and what asset we are getting from the web server, we need to look that here in the developer tools in the size column. If you observe here, memory cache, it means browser is picking this image from the memory cache. It's not going to web server to pick this image. In this way, we need to understand which resource is picking from the browser cache and which is coming from the web server. Also, there would be an option of disk cache and memory cache. There would be two things. Memory cache instance, the browser memory, whereas disk cache instance, the local laptop C drive, somewhere Chrome would have some space. From there, few of the resources would be storing in the disk cache. It is picking from the disk cache. These resources are picking from the disk cache, and these resources are picking from the browser memory cache. So this is how we need to understand which resource is coming from where. So also we have an option of disable cache in the browser. If you click this disable cache, we can control the cache from the browser itself. Also, we have an option called, if you go to this refresh page and if you right click, empty cache and hard reload. Whenever we are trying to develop anything, we need to do this option, empty cache and hard reload. Then we'll be getting the latest files from the web server. Also, we need to check here applications tab. Here you can find the cache and cache storage here, what all the files it was cached. So let's open one of the file and see its response headers. What response headers it has. See, it was cached this file and its response header is e tag is and lost modified was given. So in this way we can understand what files are cached. Where this is the cache storage, you can delete one file. This is the select an item and delete it. So for the next time, you will be getting the latest file from the web server. So I will show how to clear the cache from the browser here. Go to the Chrome. This is the more options, more tools, clear browser cache. So here you need to clear browser. So if you observe there is 28 MB. I think I have just now cleared the cache. So earlier it was 400 MB. 400 MB of data was cached in my browser. So to have a better and faster experience in the browser, we need to clear the cache as on when. It would be frequently if you clear the browser cache, it works faster. So hope you understand how the browser works and how the browser caches the resources, where it stores and how to restore it. So thanks for watching. Thanks.